Hello. I am doing something a little different here at the beginning. One, I had to change the introductions or the intros. I guess that's what it stands for. Because I accidentally used the wrong music, which was copyrighted. I thought I was playing my normal song, and I was playing a song off of my playlist. Um, so, so I figured might as well, if I'm changing it up a little bit, might as well add something else in here. Here's my question for the audience. What can we do to change up our podcast to make it better, to make it more listenable, enjoyable, I dare say entertaining? I have a few ideas. Well, I don't have ideas. That's why I'm asking you guys. I take that back. I don't have ideas. I'm a little bit stuck. So we just got done recording one yesterday. And I am... It's like, it's another podcast. It was okay. Wasn't fantastic. And I can't figure out what could tweak it. Is it the people? Is it me, right? Like, is my voice annoying? Is it the other people? Do we take it too seriously? Sometimes I think we do take topics, and instead of it being lighthearted and jovial, we end up getting all serious about it. It's kind of the way we work. I think there are some tweaks to be made here and there. But yeah, I don't know, and I need some outside input. Also, just to give you some guidelines, stuff like get better does not help. I need you to explain how, or exactly. I need precision. I need you to kind of explain what you think would actually make better, not just and just. I don't want just topics either. I do think there could be some element there, like, hey, you should react to lists of some sort, or you should discuss, stories from your past. That's kind of okay, but what I don't want is, I like this one topic. I want you to talk about this one topic. Because, even though you like that one topic, that doesn't mean everybody else will. Or it'll do more than one podcast. So I'm fine if you think you have some good, like, here's a topic for a podcast. Please put that down there. But I'm looking a little bit more for broader adjustments to the overall vibe, if that makes sense. I do still like that the podcast has a conversational, it's just three friends shooting the breeze, chatting, talking. I like that element of it, and I don't think I want that much of that to change. It's how can we tweak that formula or that vibe to be more engrossing. Because it does feel like we're just not, like, we put stuff out and it just doesn't really grab anybody. And I don't know exactly what it is. I'm sure there's plenty of issues. I mean, we're not a big podcast, so there's production stuff, some of which we might be able to tweak, some of which we can't. But I would really appreciate that if you see this video, really think about it and try to express what you think would make the podcast more enjoyable to watch, more engaging, something that would, like, needs to be maybe a little broader or something. I don't know. I haven't. What do you think would make it better? Just and maybe I'll just filter through the results. But we recorded it and I thought, I mean, it's fine. It's a decent podcast, but I'm not really happy with it. I'm not like impressed with it. I'm not excited by it. I don't know. It may be that we need to get onto touchy subjects, because I've actually tried to avoid being polarizing. Like, even when we talk about kind of like religion or something, I feel like we've tried to at least be neutral, or not neutral. That is not true. But I think we've tried to be at least understanding, and not too overbearing. I don't know. Maybe that's nobody wants that. Maybe I may have to. Yeah. If people I host with have issues with that, maybe that's the problem. It's like, nobody gives a fuck about your middle of the road, neutral, intellectual, pat yourself on the back, because that's what we do, right? Like, that's kind of our take. We are, for the most part, well-rounded, and I think we try to at least consider options from other perspectives. But maybe that's not what needs to be done. Maybe that's just nobody actually wants to watch that anymore. I do not feel that we are being rewarded for taking that approach. And I just don't think people wanted to watch it. Like, if what we were putting out was interesting, we would get views, and people would continue to come back, right? They would watch week after week. They would feel like it is an enjoyable thing to do. It would make them want to watch other than... I mean, we have some friends that come back every week, and most of them watch because they're our friends. But I don't know if we have much of anybody that watches the podcast because they think it's actually good content. And that annoys me, and it bothers me, and it's because I don't want to keep putting time into the production side of things if I don't think that the product is actually getting better, or that it's actually going to ever be watched. It's pointless if you have a good opinion and an intelligent opinion if no one will ever see it, or no one wants to see it, because, I don't want to dumb the show down, but I also understand that it's pointless to be right if no one ever hears what you're saying. And, feeling like you're aloof, that's just self-absorption and delusion, right? Like, but I'm right. But we are taking the correct approach. It's the world who is wrong. And sometimes that it may be true, but it also means that the world's never going to hear what you're saying to correct anything if that's, if you're always taking that approach. It's kind of a useless approach to the world. By the way, I'm smoking a Grey Cliff 10th year anniversary. Don't know if y'all can see. I don't have my lighting on, so I don't know. This is literally like 5 a.m. I woke up extra early because I couldn't sleep. And I was like, you know what? I can't. I gotta re-record. I gotta put something up there. So yes, as you watch this upcoming podcast, please spend time contemplating what we could do better. And I would appreciate the feedback. Thank you. Now, onward with our regularly scheduled programming. Week. Oh, everybody should be excited. So we're going to get back to our normal programming vibes.
Let's go.
Yeah. It's very exciting. I am feeling a little under the weather, but we're pushing through. Placebo is here because he is faithful and wonderful. And then, let's see, Evil told us in advance that he might not make it because he had family stuff. He had, like, a birthday in the family. He had to go, so that's cool. And then James had to walk a dog. So it's just me and Placebo.
It's us, man.
And some Swedish fish.
1 year expired Swedish fish.
As long as they taste good, they're still good. Okay. Start us off. How you doing, Placebo? Because you weren't here last week. We missed you. So how you doing today?
I'm better today than I was last week. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
The The night before we were supposed to record the podcast, I was passing out in the shower. My bad on that one. But I'm back, and we're good this week.
We had a particularly rowdy night of D&D is what happened. So
Yeah, my bad.
Or rather, one of us had a rowdy night. The other five were totally fine.
I don't think I've ever stumbled around my apartment quite like I did that night.
It was kind of funny because we were all, yeah. You could see, Ken's was talking about it in a chat we had the mid this week, and we're live like this when we do the D&D, so we can see each other's faces and stuff. And you could see like Placebo going back behind himself to do something, just like, it was pretty good.
It was the serpentine, yeah.
He was dodging a lot of snipers that night,
I could feel it as I was walking. I was like, oh man, they're all watching me walk serpentine. They know I am fucked up right now.
Didn't matter. We still played along anyway. It was good fun.
So I'm good.
Yes, he's good now.
How are you? Apart from the sickness.
Yes.
Everything. Did your Tennessee team win?
Oh yeah, no, they beat the snot out of I think it was University of Alabama Birmingham. They tore them up. Basically, they were up something like 42-7 at halftime, and then the whole second half it was just like second, third stringers, and I think we ended up winning 52-17 or something. It was like you let the freshmen and the walk-ons and but let all the other guys rest up so they don't get injured. So yeah, it was fun watching that. Another thing that was fun for me is that a team that we beat earlier in the year that I was like, oh, they weren't that good, is beating the let me see, hold on, I'm gonna look. But they were beating the snot out of Clemson, which now Clemson may be the ass team, honestly. But I don't know. Nobody cares. Nobody who watches our show probably cares at all about scores in Tennessee. But you asked, it's 34-21 in the fourth quarter. Ooh, I hope they hold on. Okay, but so anyway, it's making that win look better for us because a lot of people were kind of downplaying how our out of conference win was, and it ended up looking a little better now. So I'm happy. Overall, good day of football to make up for last week's very disappointing. So I don't know if you know what happened. We were about to beat Georgia. Game's ending, fourth quarter. It's at home. We've got like a 30-yard field goal. Should be anyway. Dude shanks it. Goes to overtime, and we lose in overtime. Yeah. So it's and it was like we were about to break a streak. It'd been like 8 wins. Oh, everybody was ready for it to go. I think we actually kind of outplayed them just a little bit. It was close, but I think we outplayed them a little. And yeah, it was. So last week was a day of sorrow. It was a day of sorrow, but today's better. A new bright sunny day. All right.
Good.
Let's do it. Let's do our thing. Social media, here we come. Get ready for our brilliant takes on all of life. Actually, let's start first with some vidges. Start with some vidges. I don't remember why I'd put this one here, but I know there was a reason, so we're going to. I need to share the screen. Almost forgot. I think it's this one. Yes. Okay, now we got sharing. Let's pause. Drag back. Unmute. All right. Now I'll hit play, and then I'll come over here and turn it on so everybody can see it while they're watching the podcast. Ready?
Do they have the ability to spray you at that age, or does that come at puberty?
He said, I didn't get close to it, but just to be safe, but he said at that age they don't know how to spray.
Oh, they have to be taught how.
Or they just...
Oh, it's like racism.
Maybe they just mature. That's deep, Aaron.
Well, isn't that what they always say, kids? I don't know why I jumped there, but...
That is beautiful.
Like anything you learn.
yeah, exactly. Now, do they have the ability to spray you?
Is at the end, like anything you learn, not
racism.
Yeah, that like cracked me up a little bit. But the real thing was, it is a mentality. He said, "Isn't that what they say?" That's what made me think about this. And a lot of people do make that claim that like racism wouldn't exist if adults didn't teach it to younger people. I think we learn racism, but we learn it through various sources. Some of them is adults, right? Like we're taught from our parents. but some of it is from just like somebody had to learn it initially when there wasn't an adult to teach them, right? Like racism had to be just, it had to come from somewhere that wasn't another human being teaching it. And I think we learn it from like our lives. We suffer, and then what we do is we look for a reason why we think that we're suffering and someone else isn't. And it's one of the most easy to ascertain differences. We can tell that there is a difference, and we're like, it's easy to point. I mean, I think if you completely wiped racism out and then put a bunch of different races of kids that were two and put them on an island somewhere, made sure they stayed alive somehow, eventually, over time, racism would kick in.
Yeah, you'd get it back, I think. Yeah, I agree.
Because, you see it happen with religion, over whatever. It's like we will find a reason why we feel that if something doesn't go our way, there's a reason, and we'll find it. And if it's that easy and kind of upfront, then yeah. So I don't know. I just don't like when I hear people say that kind of. They're like, oh, if parents wouldn't teach it to their children, racism would end. I'm like, I don't think that's I think you have to actively fight against it and consistently, like, it's not a like, oh, if we just clip its wings, it's done. It'll always raise its head back because it's human suffering always comes back, basically.
Yeah. Well, I think, I talk about it from the psychological perspective all the time. Us versus them, right? Humans have built into their brain a system to protect themselves, to identify what is us and what is them. And if I am an idiot walking around the world, well, the only real difference that I can see, right?
Right.
Maybe man and woman, right? That's one. And then also the race of the color of your skin. And so if I'm an idiot, that's what I'm going to jump on. Right? It takes a rather enlightened person to fight against that natural inclination to us versus them. I do think perhaps if parents stopped, I think it's going to happen in time anyway, right? Like my grandparents grew up in the 60s when like all the civil rights movement stuff was going on.
Yeah.
Right? We are not that far detached from it. Right, like my gym shorts got stolen from my locker when I was in high school, and I can remember telling my grandfather about this, who is a wonderful guy. Right, he goes to church, right, and he said, "Oh, some black boy didn't have his gym shorts and needed some gym shorts," and I remember being like taken aback by it, like, what? Right, but then I had to reconcile. Oh, well, he grew up in a time. I guarantee you, that's what his father told him. If something happened, 100% because of the time. Now, advance this to when I am a grandfather, if I am a grandfather, is that something that I would say to, my Of course not, right? We're just not there yet, right?
I almost feel like I feel like in the late 90s and early 2000s, we were hitting a point where, I mean, it was there, but it was very rare. It was like old people. I feel like reverberating a little bit back to it becoming both sides kind of getting more aggressive. And I think it's because I do think social media and having people who that's how they make their living is by standing on and making sure to stoke racism, right? Like on both sides, keeping everyone acutely aware of it, sometimes where it doesn't exist, right? Like if you always look for something, you're going to find it, even if it exists or not. And so I do think it's almost like it's kind of sadly making a little, not like a full comeback, but it's making a little bit of a like pop culture comeback, if you will.
Well, I think a lot of what happens is they identify one little area where it does exist, and then they blow that the fuck up, right? And they're like, we can extrapolate from this one instance that there is a huge systemic problem with this, and it's like, no. Let's deal with that one little specific thing, which is wrong and should not be happening, and let's sort that out. But, don't throw away absolutely everything else and make it a bigger problem than it is.
Yeah,
but I think,
agreed.
Like you say, a lot of people, that's unfortunately how they've chosen to get fame and careers. So,
yep. All right, next one. I want to. There's a reason. Yes, there's a reason why I want to show this. Not just because I want to see a hot Korean chick on the thing. So, okay, that's the picture. This is a post that came across because I'm into Korean stuff, so sometimes a K-pop picture will come across. it annoyed me that they said she slays without effort, because I'm like, that's bullshit, right? Like,
It's a whole lot of effort going on.
Yeah, she goes to the gym. I guarantee you, she goes to the gym or Pilates, whatever. She works out every day. I know that K-pop, like, their diets are like KGB controlled. You know, like, they are on your ass. They have to go before they do these concerts. They have to go to a makeup and hair person, and they spend 2 hours plus, sometimes more, getting their makeup and hair done so that they look. And then they have a wardrobe specialist that makes everything fit perfectly on their body the way it's supposed to look. And it's like there's a lot of effort that goes. That I think there's something in the mentality that a lot of people do think that whether it's wealthy people, right, like people making. They've worked hard and been very successful, whether it's attractive people in public situations, whether it's, you know, smart people who make good grades. I think it's become very common now to be like, oh, they did this without effort. And some people say it like this and they mean it in a positive light, but a lot of people don't. They think almost like you don't deserve what you've got because I don't think you gave effort. And it's like, that's not the case. You know, I mean, I feel like most people who are genuinely successful one way or another have gotten there through effort. Like, you have to put effort in.
I'm inclined to agree, except that, I don't know, everyone's so focused on Nepo babies now, right? Like, you know, everyone's like, oh, you were just born into wealth, right? And those exist.
Yeah, they
sure.
do. I just don't think they're I don't think they're as much as we focus on. It's kind of like the Kardashians. They're actually a very small percentage, but we focused on them so much that it felt like their reach was bigger or that they're more common. Because I remember seeing a stat, maybe about, it may have been 5 years ago. It was showing that of the people who are currently, their wealth is like over 100 million. Only about 4% are like inherited it from someone else. So, like, think about Bill Gates. He didn't have money when he started. Jeff Bezos started out of a garage. He didn't have, like, they built them into things. And a lot of people who start with money, like, you know, say the Ford family, or they're doing all right. You know, the Waltons, they're doing all right. But a lot of them, especially if you're not that huge, like where your family's like a billionaire, you know, they will waste the money. They end up because they do grow up kind of spoiled.
Yeah.
They don't have the same work ethic and the same drive and the same need to perform. They basically burn through, and they may never become like destitute poor, but they go from having hundreds of millions in the bank to maybe 20 million, and then their children split it up, and it just to where eventually it kind of mellows out. That being said, you're not wrong. Like, there is something to having connections. I mean, just by if you try to get a job these days, it's like, you know, someone who didn't do anything can get connected because their dad knows somebody, their best friends, and they give them a shot, and they can work their way up. And I mean, that's, you know, that's why I think a lot of people want to go to Yale, Harvard. It's not really that they get this superior education, because
they don't.
Yeah,
they just get to talk to people who they can then get
exactly.
a job with.
Everybody there has a dad that's a senator or a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and you make those connections to where, you know, you live a much better life. That's why you want to go to those universities. But I don't know, that there was just one of those. I guess these past two posts have both kind of been like, these are things I hear, and I'm like, it's not quite accurate. It's not that they're wrong. I think there's a kernel of truth in them, but it's also not quite accurate. You know, it's just a.
Well, I think a lot of society is unfortunately onto the trend of glorifying people who are just naturally gifted in a certain way. Like, that's what they want. It's not good enough to have put a lot of work in and be a good guitar player. It's not good enough to have put a lot of work in and be a good professor at a university. You have to sort of naturally be it, right? When I was teaching, a popular phrase, right? They would call things nonchalant, right? That's so nonchalant. It's huge right now, right? and it's glorified to be that way, right? It's like, oh, they just don't care about the situation and they're still crushing it, right?
Yeah.
And that is so, oh, I wish I was like them, right? I think it's one of the reasons we have mumble rap that you can't fucking understand,
Yeah.
right? I think it's a lot of what goes on in social media is like, oh, candid photo, right? Why do we like the candid photo? Because it's realistic and it's personal, but we know it's kind of fake in the background as well. And I hate the glorification of low effort success, if that makes sense. And I think there's a ton of that right now. I really wish we would get back on the train of that person is trying really hard, and that's what I admire.
The glorification of effort, I think, needs to come back. I agree. Like, it's good that you had to work. That's good. That means you have that's a value, that you're a hardworking person. I agree.
And I wish you all the success in the world, I suppose, on the condition that you worked for it, right? Like, if you were born with a perfect jawline and perfect hair, it's kind of like I was born tall, right? That's the roll of the fucking dice, right? If anyone's like, oh, I admire him because he's tall, you'd be like, that's crazy. But if she slays without effort, here we are admiring her for, like, it's the same thing.
Yeah, and I'm sure Gen X always, there is some level of, like, Gen X have a part to play. We talked about that before. Like, if you're 5'3", maybe don't make your life's goal to be an NBA player, like. But I do think there is something to be said, even if you are. That's the thing, right? Like, even highly talented. There's people that were like, oh, Randy Moss wasn't even the most talented high school player coming out of his class, but he worked pretty hard. But he didn't get some of the stats that say Jerry Rice got, because Jerry Rice was famous that he was like the hardest working guy in the NFL. He would just, if he wasn't playing, he was running hills. He was running up and down a hill. And it's like, you see that a lot, I think, in sports. You see very talented people, and they're exceptionally gifted through high school. We're kind of like, nobody kind of has the full effort. But then when you hit the college, it's like everybody's got this kind of talent, and it's who works hardest that really makes it to that next tier. And then it's even more so in the NFL. It's like there's really talented people who can even get into the NFL. You hear it all the time, like a first-round draft bust is somebody that everybody thought was going to be great, but they just didn't have the work ethic to make it to that next tier of ability. And so, yeah, I agree. I think it would be healthy for society to really value and praise hard work and effort.
Yeah.
All right.
And stop praising low effort success.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Stop doing that.
I guess you could be that's I guess I find it hard because I'm like, I don't want to trash people who, you're right. Because even if you're gifted, you still have to give effort, and that should be praised, but not people who just don't try. You're right. Nope, you've won me over to your side. I agree. Let me see if this is a new one or if not.
What in the hell is this?
I don't know what that is, but the fight is hilarious. And what? Ha! Ha! It's like the worst fight I've ever seen in my life. I just wanted that just to laugh at it. It was like three drunk dudes who couldn't land. They all beat themselves up. That's basically what that was. That. Oh my gosh, hold on. We were cackling and it was not on the thing. So let me show it one more time for the people at home so they can see what we're talking about. Sorry, people. I apologize. Here you go. This is hard because it's such a short video. There you go. I'll let it there. Now they can watch it the whole way through. Okay. So it's hard because when I hit over on Brave, you don't get to see it because it still shows for you. But when it's talking about the stream and what they're seeing, it blocks it out, right? It saves the resources. And it takes me about half a second to go from there over here and put it up for them to see it. Maybe I need to invest in like a streaming software that just does what Discord does, but it's where it just like leaves it up. I wish Discord made it an option. Discord, if you somehow this gets hashtagged and you see this, please make it an option to turn off the save resources. Like, I don't need it. I have a very good computer. I do not need to save the resources for this, okay? Please allow me to make the choice to leave that up and running when I switch over and look at the and interact with another with the web browser that I'm using. Let's see. Oh, okay. No. You might like this. Okay. Hold on. This is pause. Nope. Pause. Pause. We'll pull it all the way back. Turn it on. And I'll hit play and then let the people see. Ready, go. First date, PG.
Okay. All right. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That was Dude Goodman. He was the guy that did the
Is that the Jersey guy?
Yeah, it's the one that you liked when he we did the comment on you lose years off of your life every time you masturbate or you ejaculate, and then he did the filter that he was like
the cover of himself.
Yeah, it's old. Yeah, but yes, that was pretty fun. I just thought he's adorable. And okay, so let me ask you a question. What do you think about this? Because this is kind of a topic that I've heard a lot of people discuss. Is like, people will say, oh, she can't help that she's got a curvaceous body. And I'm like, okay, yes, but, like, do you think it's appropriate? Does it matter if it's grade school versus high school? Like, do you think that alters? Or why? The other question is, like, why
I'm glad it says preschool. I'm very glad it says preschool. Because I guarantee you not one kid there thinks
about
anything of it.
I agree.
You know, she could be the ugliest woman in the world, and those kids would love her just the same, right? And that's good.
Because that's sort of where I fall on this a little bit. It's like, okay, if you want to dress a little, not obviously slutty, like even with kids, you shouldn't have like your ass hanging out with thongs or something.
She's making this video where she's walking away from the camera and turning, and her butt is literally her back is facing the camera while she's talking or
she's
doing
clearly
anything.
saying, look, I'm a hot teacher.
Yes, she knows what she is doing, right? Like, obviously she knows what she's doing.
But is it too horrible that she's doing it? Because if she's in preschool, then she is thinking just the other teachers or maybe some parent. But then I go, are you trying to attract? That's tough, because what if there's a married parent that finds you attractive? That could cause, like, is that within your job description that maybe you should be neutral for not just the kids, but the dad? I mean, I don't know. Then we're starting to get a little bit too the hijab. Muslim-y.
It's so tricky, right? Like, yes, you know, women should be allowed to have jobs and do things without men sexualizing them. Yes, absolutely on board with that, right? Of course.
Yes, 100%.
You gotta understand, right? That we are like born alcoholics with our eyes, right? Like, it's just how we are, and you're not doing us any favor. You know, you can tell an alcoholic, don't go to the bar. You can't tell a man, right? You know, like, I have to use my eyes to work in this world, right? And you're dangling the beer in front of me,
it's a little bit,
and being like, hey, don't drink, don't drink.
That's what I was
saying. Don't drink.
Yeah.
It's bad of you to drink. And it's like, this is like, who gives you the right to torture me? You know, who gives you the right to do that?
Right. I think there's.
It's very tricky. It's very tricky. I'm unsettled on it. I don't know where.
I know it's somewhere in between, right? It's a little bit of responsibility on both sides, right? There is a responsibility on the men to not like overly sexualize, like even if they dress kind of moderate. But also, there's a point where women need to be realistic and be like, yes, if you got skin tight pants and it's going up your crack and you got a big booty and you got cut down to where 80% of your tits hanging out because of cleavage.
Yeah.
You know, you can't blame men that they find that sexually attractive, because you are presenting, you are dangling the beer in front of the alcoholic's face. So yes, and it's like, if you don't mind, that's the other thing. If you don't mind being sexualized, and that's, I guess, I mean, I don't know, because part of me is like, okay, some women go to the gym and but this is the problem, right? The ones that go to the gym with the sports bras on, with their tits jiggling every time they do anything, they don't want me looking at them. They probably don't mind you looking at them, right? They want the young, fit 20-something. They don't want the old, fat 40-something.
Until someone who's me but better walks in.
Yeah, that's true too. Then all of a sudden,
me but better walks in, they don't want me doing it either. All right, let's be honest.
You're right.
They only want me.
It's a moving scale.
Yeah, it is a very moving scale.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. So if that's that, then okay. Now I'm curious what this. Can I be honest? These are like 2 or 3 weeks ago that I put this up, but it's a Lima Omega, so we at least know it's quality. We at least know it's quality. We just kick it up, and then it'll decide if it wants to go, and then I'll pause. Oh, I do remember this. I do remember this. Let me hit play, and then I'll let it go. So, what are we? I don't know. Like, he made it funny. Otherwise, it's super awkward, right? Like,
yeah. I just don't know why stuff gets posted and put on the internet.
That's where I was heading with it.
That's what he's saying, right?
That's exactly where I'm headed with it as well.
Who asked for this?
Yes.
Who asked for this?
Who? Surely someone in her life should have seen this and been like, you gotta love the people in your life enough to be like, I don't think that's you, dog.
Hard discussions.
Yeah. Like I don't think that's a good move. I know what you're thinking, but I don't.
Well, I think back to that preschool teacher, right? Who in her life might have told her, why you putting this video up here, right?
Yeah.
Is that the attention that you want? Is that good for you? Is that good for anyone, right? No, or is it just to like settle a bit of like insecurity that there are other hot women out there that people might prefer? Is that the only reason you're putting it up? Because I think that's the only reason you're putting it up.
This is how it's coming across to me. Please explain to me how I'm wrong.
Yeah.
All right, I guess that's the Facebook side of things. We got, they were fun. We got some good little topics. Let's try. Okay, we'll go over to the. We'll just start at the top and move down, I guess. So this is an interesting comment that you'll see that I use him a lot, Zuby. He said, if you can't make peace with the fact that different people like different things, then life is going to be rough for you. And he was kind of making this in. There's a couple reasons he said this, but it struck me at the time because I think we were doing some stuff with some of our friends, and whether it's talking about music, because we have one very strongly opinionated, or video games, or our group does have very strong opinions, and a lot of times they struggle to process that people like different, subjectively we can like different things. Especially when you're talking about entertainment. And I do think it actually makes it harder for you to go through life. It feels like you're changing other people, but it's not. You're just making yourself, I don't know, more uncomfortable, more upset. Yes.
More static, I think.
Well, it's just, I think you're more depressed, right? Because it's like you're making yourself frustrated when you don't need to be, if that makes sense. It's like, you are causing frustration because you're like, oh, why do they like this? Oh, it's just not good. I can't stand that other. And it's like, you don't have to. You can be like, okay, I don't like it. You can like it. And then you could just go off and like the things you like, right? It's when you have to have other people reciprocate that same mentality. I think it does kind of wear you down a bit. And it does kind of, it adds to the sand pile that eventually collapses the sand glass, the what is that called? Hourglass.
Hourglass?
Yeah. I don't know. It was a good statement, and I kind of agree with this. What? Anyway, you have anything to say about it or no?
I don't know. I mean, I think with our friends specifically, like when Kins makes fun of the K-pop stuff, right? Which I'm thinking of. right?
Okay.
That's the one that comes to my mind, right?
Right.
Kins is like, anti K-pop or whatever, right? It
Anti-overproduced
strikes me.
music. Yeah.
Yeah. It strikes me that like what he's doing is sort of joking about it, right?
Mhm.
I don't know, but I do think there are people but they're children, right? Like, ew, pineapples on pizza, that's disgusting,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, okay, cool. You don't have real life problems, so you're
Yeah.
making one up, right? Like, got it.
Mhm.
That's what I think of those people, right? Like, and if it lingers into adulthood when you do have real life problems, guess what you are mentally? Mentally, you are still a child, right?
Yeah.
And you should be treated like one until you can grow the fuck up. It's tricky though, because it depends on what different people like, right? Like if you like egging houses, yeah, obviously, right? If you like constantly stealing the attention of every member of it's on my mind now, of every member of the opposite sex
Right.
whenever you go into the room, so you like wearing super fucking slutty or just like overly revealing clothing so that you can do that, yeah, I got a problem with that. I do.
I think this is more talking about subjective stuff rather than
Yeah.
something you could argue about morality. Like there is an actual objective kind of element of it. I think this is more of just like, oh, you don't like Star Wars,
Yeah, then
Like, who cares? Let 'em go.
Grow up.
Yeah.
It don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next one I'm not going to quite get on the topic. It's what she kind of finishes out saying, and I think it.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll just read it and then we can discuss. Telling you the truth doesn't mean that I love the FCC. It means I live in reality and report on reality. People are so used to, this is the big part, people are so used to hearing their own opinions echoed back to them that stating a conflicting truth must be written off as a character flaw.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree. I mean, I almost did it to you, right? When we disagreed over Jimmy Kimmel a little bit, over what he said. I initially applied, because I could not see where you were coming from, and what I said
Sure.
was that I thought you were being a little bit like, you wanted to be in the middle. You wanted to feel like I'm...
Right.
And that
right.
was...
To be
and I
more
apologize for it.
erudite and-
Yes, I apologize. I said,
I
no, that was
appreciate
probably
that,
the
yeah.
incorrect... I mean, that was my initial assessment, but it was wrong. I did that wrong. So, I mean, just to show that I'm not always... I don't bring up stuff that I think that I'm perfect at. These are flaws that we all share.
course.
So,
Of course.
but
I completely agree. There's a few phrases I've been coming around to and really trying to focus on to make my life better. The first one I've been doing for a long time. Judge people by their actions and not by their words, and they'll never fool you, right? You'll know who they are.
Agreed.
And one more recent one is, the truth is difficult, right? It is difficult. There is often layers of nuance within it, and it takes some work to unravel the truth of a situation, or of any system that exists. And usually, like the one-liners or simplifying things reject some of that nuance, right? You lose aspects of truth from what is being said. And I think with that in mind, not many people like to go through the nuance, right? People really like to simplify it down to basic parts because the nuance to pursue the truth is really difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
And often you have to look at people with whom you disagree and see good sides of them, right? Or see them as people that, and I think that people generally don't like to do that. And so, yes, I unfortunately, I do agree that often people are very used to hearing their own opinions echoed back to them.
Yeah. And then I think that's the other part, the other element is that we write it off as a character. I think that's what we're seeing, right? It kind of gets into the next thing, the next post, is that if we disagree with someone, we label them as something, right? It has to be a character flaw. Like, you are bigoted.
Yes.
You are. We have to.
That's what I mean. That is an oversimplification.
Yes.
Right. Like that is taking the easy road, and in doing so, you lose the truth. Right. It's not there anymore. You only have a part of it, whereas you could have had all of it had you put the effort in.
Correct. And this is. It's funny. It's coming from a guy that has an anime thing, but anyway, he was just making a point, and it's kind of. And this is. I'm making a full point. There's two post making one kind of conception, and I think both sides can do this a bit. I will be honest, I think one side does it more than the other, but this is an overall, we all need to watch ourselves and judge ourselves if we're doing this. And he goes, hi guys, I'm thinking of starting a movement called Kill the Hitlers, where we go out and we kill Hitlers. Anyone that I don't like is considered Hitler. Anyone that I disagree with is considered a Hitler. What? What do you mean this is terrorism? I guess that makes you Hitler. And that logic does apply not just to this. I mean, obviously the current Charlie Kirk stuff, this people have that in Brian, but I would hope that people can apply this concept and question that thinking on a broader scale, where it is like almost, I don't like it, and this is something I do have a big pet peeve with, people redefining terms or reusing terminology in order to justify what they're doing or what they think or what they feel. You know what I mean? That is a big issue. Oh, excuse me. Probably shouldn't eat I need to eat the crackers. Anyway, doesn't matter. But yes, that is I do think this is like the logic of like, oh, we're going to do that. Everybody knows this is bad. So I'm now going to redefine the stuff I disagree with as that bad thing that everybody is okay with you reacting a certain way to it. So that way I can react a certain way to people I disagree with and feel justified. And then if you tell me that I'm wrong, well, that just puts you in the bad group. Right? Like that just, it's almost like that's exactly what a person would think that it's like, I'm not a murderer. That's what a murderer would say.
That's what a guilty person would say.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
And by the way, welcome, Evo. Just wanted to throw him in. Go ahead. Give me your take, Placebo.
I have a bit of a different one. Which isn't to say that I disagree with anything you've said. I think that everything you've said is absolutely true, but I have a different perspective to view it from. I think that everyone, from the moment they start putting toys in their mouth to see if it's food, to the moment they die, they have a skill called philosophy that is aimed at figuring things out. That's all it is, right? It's taking an unknown and making it a known, right? And it's the route from which you get from point A to point B, unknown to known.
I agree. I put my mouth on everything.
Well, here's my issue. This skill evolves over time. We get better at it, right? If I today were to look at my phone and be like, can I eat it, and put it in my mouth, you'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you, right? Like, how are you this stupid, right? How is your skill at figuring things out not evolved to what is it? And I think that in everybody, that skill should continue to grow until you die, right? Now, I understand if some crystallized intelligence takes over the fluidity of youth and you start to get more solidified, but not like this, right? I think that a lot of this is people renouncing that skill and saying, nope, I don't want it. It's not going to be useful to me. Or perhaps unknowingly just letting it stagnate and just be what it is. I just don't think it's the case that our reasoning and logical abilities cap out when we're like 19. You know,
I don't think it caps. I think it's intentional. I think it's an intentional, like it's a defense mechanism. Emotionally, people get tired of having to deal with conflict and having to face up that they may be wrong, right? And I think that's societally, that is a big thing. Like, a lot of people just don't want to say, I was wrong. Like, that's a big, like, oh my God, it's the worst thing ever. And so, to defend that, they come up with all these coping mechanisms, and this is one of them, where it's like, I'll just redefine the whole world that I exist in to where I'm not wrong. It's like, I don't want to deal with the fact that I might be actually the hateful one. I might have hate in my heart that I need to dig out that'll be painful and emotional. So I'm just going to write it up that it's not hateful because I'm hating hateful people, and I'm going to title them, it's like...
You're absolutely right. All of the Freudian defense mechanisms are there to protect your sense of identity and your sense of self. They are all defensive, right? And I think that if untreated, they can lead to a whole lot of cognitive dissonance or simply failing to be a good person or a clear thinker. Yeah.
For sure. Do you have anything, Evil? You almost sound like you were going to start saying.
I know you just got here.
Well, it's strange because like people can lick the same rock, so to speak, metaphorically, and have two completely different reactions anyways. So it may not even be necessarily like their ability to analyze what they did. It's just the
Oh, it is.
there is I think there's an initial gut reaction. Like I don't fully understand the topic that you're talking about, but just going from that analytical method, like two people can go into the same thing, see the exact same issue, and immediately form two different opinions, and that's not
Absolutely.
necessarily an analytical thing. It's something that they've gotten so accustomed to thinking like this. I'm not even going to bother and try to analyze what just happened. Like this is my identity, so this is what I believe happened, no matter what.
Yeah, but isn't that like a failure? In a sense.
100%. And they're both failures. I'm just showing like it doesn't have to be on an analytical side. They could literally analyze it all they want, and in fact, some cases, them analyzing it, they realize that, hey, I actually kind of agree with the other person, so they just shut that down. Like instead of analyzing it, I'm just gonna go with a knee-jerk reaction and say this is what it is because this is affirming to me.
I agree with you about everything. I just think analysis of the situation is the method, right? In all of these scenarios, I think it'll work out, right? And it might turn into meta-analysis where you have to analyze your own ability to analyze the situation, right? That might happen, but I just think that's the right way.
The fear of that happening stops people from
I
doing
agree.
the analysis.
I agree, and
So-
to which I say they are pathetic and they need to do better.
Well, and everyone's guilty of that at some point. It's just whether
Absolutely.
or not we realize it or not.
I've been pathetic for
or-
most. I will be pathetic again.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Same.
We all have our vices. Nobody's perfect. It's
Speaking
just-
of vices, okay, I'm not going to talk about the politics of this, but I thought it was just a funny break. The director of health promotion and advocacy at Ball State University in Indiana. Anyway, she got fired, but she got fired for her.
He looks
post.
as big as I am.
That's
She's the director of health.
health
was.
and advocacy. Yeah. What are your thoughts about? Whoops, that's not what I fucking wanted to do.
I think you reloaded the page some.
Yeah, there we go. What are your thoughts about? I don't know. I know some people think it's hateful.
Is the job open? I'm here. Is
Yeah.
the job available?
I kind of there are some. It's like, listen. I mean, yes, I know about health, but I'm not able to apply it, right? So that's why I'm fat. And I'm trying to get better. Placebo has helped me by encouraging me when he goes works out. He's like, you should do it too, and I do. And I'm sore today because I did stuff yesterday.
Yes.
I know a lot. Like when I worked out, I know how to lift. I know how to eat healthy. I know how to lose weight. I know how to eat that builds muscle. My knowledge is there, but I fully understand not being hired as the director of the health and promotion of a major university. Like, there is a part where it's like, yeah, but you don't apply it yourself. Like, how much can you expect other people? I don't know. I'm kind of torn because I do think there's like a doctor who may not have quit smoking can tell you smoking is not good for you. You shouldn't do it. Or a person, I could without having to place my finger in a light socket, tell you shouldn't place your finger in a light socket. But so where's the balance there? I guess is my question. There is some sort of balance, right? Like it's like you shouldn't completely be incapable of doing something yourself, but you also shouldn't be judged based off of maybe a particular weakness. Your knowledge shouldn't be just tossed aside either, right? So what do y'all think? Where you're coming from?
You could be the wisest person in the world, but if you don't practice what you preach, nobody's going to take you seriously. I'm sorry.
That's a realistic. It may not be what's philosophically right, but it's what's existing.
Correct.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And there is it made me think because there is a guy on my TikTok poop sessions. I have recently come across a guy who actually does get fat on purpose to show people this is my method, and you can see he's like 300 plus pounds, and then it'll flip over to him, getting into his, rock out. Like, these are what abs look like after you, like, this is something you can physically look forward to do. Like, there's people
It is
who
possible. He's trying to show
actually
people it's
that
possible.
process.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hiring someone like that is fine. This lady does not look like someone who does that, though. Like,
She's not. Yes.
It's initial knee-jerk reaction. I know you were just talking about those, but she does not look like someone who is who's about to go rock out and lose 100 pounds for her students or faculty.
She doesn't look like she's about to lead by example.
No.
Okay. Go ahead. I see the gears turning.
It's very tricky for me. A lot of these are very, very tricky for me.
Yeah, that's
today.
why I brought them up, because I think they're not black and white. They're not. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out the difference between this case and something like having a basketball coach or a football coach for the NBA or the NFL that is fat and unathletic and fucking just disgusting.
Yeah.
And, we would not look at the football coach and be like, shame on you, you can't do the job if the team is doing well, right? And why is this situation any different? And I'm struggling a lot with that. And I think maybe it's because health is kind of easy, or at least easier.
No, you're not wrong. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
like
the initial thing that pops out to me in that instance is that teams actually have nutrition coordinators, whereas the head coach, that's not his job. His job is to make sure that the players
I'm not talking about
in and
but I get what.
But like this lady being a health director or whatever it is, that's like one of the largest focuses.
I see what the difference you're making. A head coach
meant to promote
is more about X's and O's and psychology, not necessarily about being fit like an athlete. They have people who are experts for that. I see. Yeah, he's not the lead. So in other words, the head coach isn't expected to be the leader of the team for health.
Piece of his pie.
Where that is all her position is just health, if that makes sense. So it's like a football coach his responsibility is almost elsewhere. Very few coaches actually are responsible. As a matter of fact, in the NFL, they get really upset. Chip Kelly tried to do it. He tried to force them to have all these things on them all the time that would track their steps in a day, and they would have to record their caloric intake and what they're drinking. And the NFL players got really upset about it because they're like, "Listen, that's not how I function. I don't. I can go eat a McDonald's burger and then go hit the gym. That's okay for me. It works. I look at me. I'm ripped and 250 pounds of solid muscle. So there is a slight difference, but I also understand Placebo talking from a psychological. It's like if we have an expectation for the person who's teaching to be able to do everything that they're trying to teach, a head coach is teaching very fit athletes that you would have to be very fit to do. He is teaching them, and he's not capable of doing it. I think part of it also is a head coach is usually older, and so they may have been fit at one point in time. And it's like we don't have the expectation. It's like if you've done it before. Does that make sense? Like maybe when they were in college, he was 250 pounds and could bench press 350, but he's 45, 50 now, and he's.
But what if they couldn't, right? What if that wasn't the case?
Yeah.
Right? Because yes, there are some that were but there are some that aren't.
No, you're right. You're right.
A lot of.
Would you throw away the knowledge? Is what you're asking? Yeah.
No, and I don't think I would. And I support this woman. That's my conclusion. Yeah. I have no problem.
Well,
with
okay. Before you do that, the reason she got fired was
I do not support what she said. I do not support.
You support her having that position.
I think she should have been allowed to have that position. Yes, despite clearly not.
Look at the fat football coaches in the NFL. A lot of them are actually very successful. I mean, Andy Reid, 3 of the past 5 Super Bowls?
What do you mean by successful? Oh, at winning as a coach,
right?
Yeah.
So I would say his knowledge of of keeping up with the health and whatever of his players is probably something, like I was saying, a very, very small slice of their pie.
I would say I think there's enough provable history that we know that the physical health of the coach doesn't impact their capability to coach a team. So we have like proof, we have facts, we have real life evidence showing that that is not a direct correlation between the two.
Well, if that were the case,
even putting the same standard on coaches, like, hey, were they previous players or not? There are a lot of coaches.
Well, no, that's what I was about to.
That are very successful that have never played.
Most of them. Currently, 22 of the 32 coaches didn't ever play NFL. Of the head coaches in the NFL right now. So it's like, because this actually became a big deal. ESPN had a guy on their channel talk to another analyst and be like, you can't talk about this because you were never a player. And then everybody pointed out that of the NFL coaches, had 22 out of the 32 had never been a head coach. I mean, Bill Parcells won Super Bowl, wasn't a head coach. Jimmy Johnson I don't think he was ever in the NFL.
He wasn't a player.
And that's what I mean. He wasn't a player, NFL player. Sorry, I misspoke. I did catch that while I was doing it. But anyway, a lot of them, many of Super Bowl winning coaches were not players. They just understood it in an intellectual, which kind of favors Placebo's side a little bit, right? Is that it shows that you don't have to be able to do it yourself in order to know what to do well enough to teach other people to do it.
Or to get the right people in that do know X's.
Well, that's true too.
So she could be just a managerial person and knows her connections. Like, and I am advocating against myself, but if I walk into a sermon that she's giving about health, and I take a look at her, and she's as big as I am, I'm immediately off. And trying to start to look.
I have a question. Is that not also a part of the job? Is that you have to understand that people do is it on the part of all of society to make that intellectual change, or as someone who knows that they're going to have that position, do you need to recognize that there's going to be a lot of people that they may not be intelligent enough to make that, or rational enough to make that assessment, that just because you're like, a lot of people will do that. That's exactly they'll walk in, look, and go, nope, don't trust it. That's unfair. It may be philosophically unfair, but I don't know if that's like, if we're talking about reality, should she not try to adjust? I don't know. I
think most people are going to have an initial reaction to that, whether or not that's their first experience with the person or not, but I honestly believe that they would have to go above and beyond to prove that they are capable and competent at that in order to get a large majority of the people. It's tough.
It's tough because we do argue. It is. We argue a lot. Well, the reason I'm saying is we argue a lot that society should hold itself to a higher standard, and that even though that is the initial reaction, people shouldn't have that reaction. They should think it through further and go, maybe she has some facts that I should be listening to. For
the record, I'm not sitting here saying that people should have that reaction, but it is a clear truth that most people, I think, will.
Yeah. I mean,
I agree. Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Okay, we talked about this earlier.
Oh, Candace and Charlie?
Yes. Remember, we were talking about how bad AI is. That's what this is. This is...
Oh, yeah.
She was his hag, is what I cut it. It didn't catch it, but it said, oh my gosh, this is so cute. At Grok, were they ever dating? Now I need to know. Grok's answer, yes, that's Tom Holland and Zendaya. They have been dating since 2021 and got engaged in January 2025, according to sources like People and TMZ. And I do want to cover this, not because those two. That's irrelevant. Toss that aside. People gotta stop trusting AI just to think for them. Like AI's going to get better. It's still not going to replace you being able to use your brain to rationally assess what's going on. I don't like we've talked about this before. People will be like, Grok, is this true? Or if there's an argument, a political argument, and then they'll be like, at Grok, does this, and then they will go, and kind of do the social media version of see, I was right, because Grok says something. It's like, this proves you can't trust AI to do your thinking for you, to do your research for you, to do your processing for you. That is, I mean, oh my God, that's just, it was off. But anyway, I don't know. I wanted to just cover that because I still want to harp on people don't trust, please don't trust AI. Just don't. I'm just please. That's all.
It's one thing to have it like sort your finances. It's another thing to have it give you modern examples of the world. Yeah.
You got anything, Placebo, or are you just agreeing with me that people shouldn't use AI?
Outsourcing your mental faculties, go right ahead. I'll reap the benefits. Sorry. But like,
Yeah.
the worse you make yourself, the better I look by comparison.
Maybe.
I hope you
I
make
don't know.
yourself better. I really hope you make it. I hope people don't outsource, but if they do, I suppose I win.
When you getting yourself all tatted up for these interviews, I mean, you just saying.
It's coverable.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just giving you shit.
I was thinking of a neck one next right here.
The thing I worry about is that a lot of HR departments use AI, right? Like that's how they process their.
Yeah.
And so it's like it affects society. I agree. It makes us look better in comparison if someone was actually intellectually looking at it and paying attention. But I'm worried that so much of our society is going that direction that it is in fact damaging us as well, just by we are part of the system now, and the system is becoming corrupted by it.
I do you think this is the problem, man? Once people get these ideas about like from sci-fi, right? Like it's almost inevitable that we're gonna go down that path, right? Like,
yeah.
You can be the one to say, yes, it would be immoral for us to build the Death Star, right? That would be wrong of us, right? I guarantee you someone out there is going to think, I can. I'm going to do it. Y'all can go get fucked. I'm going to go do it.
Yeah.
And then now we have a Death Star. And now it's in the hands of the guy you don't want to have the Death Star.
Yes.
And
they're like, no. I'll build the Death Star in a way that won't be misused because I don't have. My company would never use the Death Star as a way to eliminate planets.
The board buys them out of their position, and yeah.
I just want to be a metaphorical fly on the wall for the dude that received the brain.
Oh, the Neuralink
implants, the Neuralinks, because there what, like 4 of them now, or
I don't know.
Just I just want to see what they're, just watch a day of their lives. Like that's the reality TV that I want. I just want to see what those people actually do on a day-to-day basis. That is 100% them, and I want to see the instances where maybe not.
Life and the stuff around me, all of this grand big picture stuff, I think it's if I think about it too much, it detracts from my life and the quality.
Well,
so I just
we're not equipped to deal with that kind of stuff. Like,
oh yeah, we were never made for it. But how you doing over there, preacher?
We got some technical difficulties. At least besides UAB scoring 24 points on us.
No, I can. Yeah, I had to switch out the battery. The battery ran out on my headset, and I thought I turned my headset back on. And I was like, I can't hear anything, and I was worried that it was one of those, like, Discord took a glitch. You know how sometimes it'll glitch and you can't hear anything? It was I just didn't turn it back on. Okay, so the next one. So, I don't care about the band. What I'm going to do is talk about the mentality of what happens here. Destiny, which I know Placebo knows who it is. For those who, Evil knows who it is. Destiny tweeted out... let's see if I can zoom in on this. Yes. Okay.
Very difficult to see.
He tweeted. He made this tweet. Unreal. At Elon Musk and other conservatives just got me banned from Twitch. My entire income is gone now. So much for the party of free speech. Right. This is important. He said. Now remember, Unreal. These people this is very important. Just got me banned from Twitch. All right. I'm going to do this. Boop. Back out. Then it showed all these people who were right-wingers being like, well, yeah, that's what you get for talking shit about Charlie Kirk, right? And then he came out and said, haha, I've been suspended since 2021. I stream on Kick. You're all dumb and fell for my troll. And then all the comments the replies to this post by this guy, he covers like streamers. Like, oh, that's so embarrassing. They didn't know that he streams on Kick. It's so embarrassing that they didn't know that he got banned. They showed how stupid they are. And I was like, I don't think that's true. I think if someone lies about themselves directly and other people believe it, I don't know that that's on them. You know, like, it's one thing if you make kind of like a externals troll that they would believe that they need to research. But when you're talking about yourself, what's that called? It's called a first party source, I think. It's like no one should know what happened to you more than you. So if you lie about something that's going on in your life, it's rational to expect that you are telling the truth, right? So I don't like the mentality that people think that these people were one. I also think it's ridiculous that people think he's so important that all these other
there is where I like how is it embarrassing that they don't know what the fuck's going on with you fucking loser?
Yeah, like, that's exactly.
Who are you? Like, I'm Ronnie fucking Pickering. I'm Ronnie Pickering. I am.
That's
you know who I am. Like, who are you?
Yeah, they're like, okay, good. You should have said something. They're not going to look into it. Yeah,
it would be one thing if he said something outlandish and they believed it. Right?
Yeah.
You know, if he was like, "Oh, Trump is dead," and they all believed it and they went with that without doing any sort of fact, yes, I would be like, he got him, right?
Yeah.
I'll grant that. He got him. This is just so mind-blowingly stupid that it's like you didn't get anyone.
Right.
I feel sad for him. I'm grateful that I get to go through my life with the people around me that I have, and I feel bad that he must have the people that he has around him.
Yeah.
I feel sad for the people who watch people like him and cling on to every word like it's gospel is truth. Like, oh no, this guy's so brilliant. Let's watch him get shut down by fucking Milo Yiannopoulos and headed on, but
I feel bad for a lot of the people that idolize any of these people.
Yeah,
right?
And I think that's what this first comment, right? Like this first guy. I mean, not everyone is terminally online with Twitch drama. So when someone comes out and on this platform ban me, here's the email. Why would they doubt? Like that's a valid. He's making the point because let's see if I scroll down a little lower. Like, oh, this wasn't a troll. It was lying for clout. Then saying, haha, I lied, pretending it's an own. I agree. Oh, here we go. That's embarrassing. Even Fox News was saying it. Oh my God, look at all these total losers. Like, I'm glad that the top few are rational because I remember reading when I first read it, all these comments, that's kind of the vibe they were taking on. Was like, ha, you didn't know? Oh my God. It's like, yeah, because not everybody's obsessed with streamer culture. Like, they're out living real lives.
We get back to the very first thing we talked about, right? Everyone just wants to hear echoes of what they think already, right? And if they can, point fingers and laugh at the people that are on the other side, then they're going to do it.
And Destiny's such an ironic example of that because as soon as he starts getting his logic reasoned with, he's the first person to yell and call people names and insult whatever he can try and get over on someone. Like, the dude doesn't think logically through things at all. And when
no, I won't say at all. I think he thinks a layer or two, but he doesn't think if a concept needs 5 or 6 layers to determine whether or not it's true, he'll go 1 or 2 deep, just long enough to satisfy, placate his position, make him feel like, I have thought enough of this that I feel right. Right? And if somebody stupid argues with me, I can win an argument. Right? Like
the problem with that is that he takes things that are assumptions that no rational person would think, and he would call that a layer.
Yeah,
so that makes
somewhat true
people
too.
think that he doesn't think through things logically at all. So it's difficult for me to agree with that and say that he does think through things logically.
What I'm saying is, I guess he does enough research to add 1 or 2 layers of, because I've seen him argue. I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was.
He does not.
Michael Knowles.
He does the Google search. That's what he does.
No, that's
I
what I'm
don't
saying.
think that's fair.
He's the kind of person that takes through like the ADLs. Hey,
No,
right
he
wingers
quoted he'll quote
for...
he'll quote a study or two, but then I've seen other people be able to be like, well, no, that study's been dismissed, or that's he does think through it. He just doesn't think through it all. He's not trying to find the truth. He's trying to find justification for what he already
That
believes.
I will grant. That I will say.
And I'm sorry, but that's not logical reasoning.
I think that is exactly logical reasoning.
It's
right? You can logically reason to a false conclusion as long as the premises support it, right? Like
that's not logical though. Like
all right,
going through the processes and finding stuff that is counter to your argument and then verifying it is logical reasoning.
I mean, we can get into a fight about what logical reasoning is. It's the process you take, not necessarily the fact that the conclusion is valid, right?
Okay.
The logic you take has to be valid.
Yeah. Well,
here's
you can have good and bad logic. How about that?
Agreed.
That's what I guess I'm saying.
When you add the word reasoning on the end of it, it completely morphs things.
Okay.
If it is logical reasoning, then the steps have to be proper.
That's what logic refers to, the steps that are taken within it.
In other words, that's what the
term
means.
And if you're not taking the steps to confirm the things that you're finding, it is no longer logical. It is just maligned reasoning. It's not logical reasoning.
Yes.
It's semantics. It's irrelevant.
Yeah. I agree. I think we're saying more or less the same thing. We're just getting stuck up on a definition.
No, I think we're trying to define words two different ways.
Okay. Yes. That's a much better way of putting it. All right. So back onto this. So, I love me some Zuby. The world was better when we didn't know what everybody was thinking.
Oh yeah.
I see that was a good one sentence comment. Like a lot of times we talk about not liking one sentence. I think that's a solid one sentence comment.
All right, let's do the Thomas Sowell give and take, right? There are no solutions, only trade-offs. Are there any benefits to knowing what everybody is thinking? Absolutely, there are benefits to knowing what everybody is thinking. You can identify the people you don't want to be around and the people you do want to be around, right? And so there's the nuance, right?
Yeah.
Although
but he didn't say it was bad. He just said it was better, right? Or it was
I guess
best.
That's fair.
He was just saying he did weigh them, and he's like, the things that I find are it's weighed more heavily, and it was still better when we didn't know what everybody was thinking all the time.
The Princess Bride was such a good movie until I learned that the actors were raging idiots.
Oh, were they? I didn't know that.
Oh, the main one is. I'm surprised did you not hear about the spat with Ted Cruz and what's his name?
I don't know, but I'm on whoever's on the other side's side.
I'm not all. Don't be like that. Don't be like you criticize somebody if they did that.
So Cary Elwes is the actor, and he signed a bunch of stuff for Ted Cruz and gave it to him, and it was weird that the political bickering back and forth between him, and he was like, "Hey, do you want this back?" And it shows all the stuff that he gave to him and signed for him and shit. So it's it's just a funny coincidence, I think.
Ah, gotcha. No, that's fair. All right, this is getting into teaching, and I was going. You were a teacher once, and a good teacher, Placebo. What do you think about this? A teacher in Canada was suspended after forcing a class full of 10-year-olds to watch the video of Charlie Kirk's assassination.
Nice.
Commence.
Yeah. I mean, what do you expect me to say, right? You've thrown at me 2 + 2 = 4. Do you expect me to say you're wrong? No, this is crazy. This is insane.
But what class was this under? That's what I want to know.
Math.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
10-year-olds have gender theory class? Is that already becoming reality? Ugh.
I don't know. That's pretty wild. That's all I got. Sorry, I don't know.
What else could you show them that would be comparable to that? That would be acceptable.
News coverage, right? You could
Coverage.
show them
Well, okay, no. I
arguments
mean,
from
I
both
mean to the
sides.
same level of graphic.
It's all right. I'll cut out the
Disgusting.
quiet part in the middle where I was being. Go ahead. Continue.
No, I'm just trying to think of what's the next best acceptable thing that is,
Yeah, you
somewhat
could show,
group-
I think, a news headline
That's
or something
actually
along those
educational.
lines. Like, yes, you could probably. I would say
No,
you can't
I'm
do it
not- I'm not
immediately.
saying
I think you would
this
have to give it at
situation.
least a day, right? Like, you would have to at least give it time to make sure that even the news organizations had their facts right. Because I don't think you can trust news organizations to break news, right? Because it's just they're going with whatever's.
No.
You can get as accurate information from from Twitter as you can from your news nowadays. Like, 'cause
I'm not talking about Charlie Kirk. I'm talking like what is a good lateral that would be an acceptable. Hey, watch this person die, and it be acceptable and it be educational.
I don't think there is one.
What's the closest comparison that you could make?
no, I think that's the problem. There isn't one. I don't think there
I don't
is.
think there is one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nobody in the right mind could think of something. Why was this done?
Yeah. Like, I see what you're saying. There is no excuse that she couldn't be like, oh, I saw somebody do like this, and I just thought this was the same thing. There is none. Okay, no, that's fair. Sorry. I just thought it was crazy.
No, pass her. She's a bad example.
I did. I went right past. Okay,
She makes me feel gross about
I
Mountain
think
State.
connects to everything. I wasn't playing it. Yeah, I looked and scrolled. Why is secular psychology failing to fix today's mental health crisis? I think that's an interesting statement. Because we have probably more psychologists than we've ever had. We've had more pushing of people to go get therapy, get treatment, get seen. We've tried, there's more on TV, on news, on Twitch, on everything. It's good to get, like, pushing people to go get therapy, right? Like, to get psychologically help. And I think that is good, by the way. I do think it's, if you're genuinely feeling off, you do something. Don't just sit there and dwell in it and let it consume you. But murder rates have went up. Suicides have gone up. Just about every negative stat. Depression's gone up. Dissatisfaction.
Anxiety,
depression. All of that has went upwards as we've shifted from
stress.
more community-based and I would even say religious-based, but I think that does have a part to play with in it. But over to being like we look to secular therapists as our be-all, end-all. There is something there. I don't know. I'm not saying I have the conclusion here, but there is something. It's a good question, right? It's an open-ended question. Why has it failed to match what was promised? It was promised to fix things. It's done almost the opposite. So why?
I think that you're looking at one single. I don't know. It's
No,
sort
I
of
agree.
like-
Society as a whole has also. Yes, you're right. It's not
Yes,
fair to put it all on this, but
that is my claim, right? Like there are too many things outside of this causing the problems, and then we're expecting this one thing to like hold a shield up every direction, and it's like it can't possibly do that. It should be focused perhaps where it is focused. It's just in focusing that way, it leaves itself vulnerable in other positions.
I can see that. Okay, yeah, that's somewhat. I do feel
think
like there was a shift that was like, don't worry about speaking to your pastor or your parents, or go to a therapist instead. I do think there was a shift that tried to make that. So, in other words, if it wasn't a claim that I think psychologists kind of made for themselves, that like, hey, we can fix all your problems a little bit, or we can at least situate it a little. I agree. The issue with society is way larger than just psychology. Right? That's
it's
impossible.
such a confluence of many different issues.
But I do think there is something there that it encouraged people to maybe become more because I do think therapy is a very self-centered. You're looking in yourself, and it's very me and what's inside me. I do think there's a little bit of that does apply to some of the other elements that are a part of the problem in that it does start to keep people from. We've talked about this before with the U.S. that we have faltered a little too much on becoming. We're too individualistic. It's bad to be too socialistic where you just don't ever do anything you like because you're worried what everybody will think. But I do think society has gone, especially in the Western world and the U.S., too much into what about you? And I think this might be a little bit. That's like part of the problem. I do agree. It's not. It's very unfair to put all the blame on it. But
I think you're right. I think perhaps a not spoken about enough thing that has occurred is, if you go to talk to the pastor or you go to church, or that's a significant part of your life, you tend to do that sort of a thing in a group, right? Like you go to a church and there's a group there that are the congregation, whereas
or even if
often
you
if you go
private meet, because I know some people do have. Because you don't want to be like, hey, I cheated on my wife, what do I do? Or I've got herpes or whatever. It's like there is a little bit there, but usually if say it's a woman comes to the pastor, he'll have the pastor's wife there as well. So that way you can't say, bad things were happening. So you're right. There usually is at least a couple of people, right? Like, or the elders.
I just think you compare that to psychology, the therapy. You sit one-to-one across from someone who, odds are, I don't know this for a fact. I would guess maybe about 25% of therapists are actually good enough at the job to actually help the person.
Yeah,
right.
That's a bold claim.
They're doing well. I think
that's too high.
It's similar to like border or bottom level medical practice. What I've been like a lot of them, they just they're taught to go through the checklist. Tell me what you think. Did he say this? Then I check this box. If I said they're not actually processing the like you said, they're not good enough. They're not actually doing the activity themselves. They're not processing. Maybe this could be this. They're not actually trying to think their way through it. I think you're right. It's almost similar to what
how many therapists would be like, hey, let's go get a coffee and let's sit down together. And that's how we'll do this, and we'll just talk over a coffee, right? And while they're doing that, they're like, here's my card. Can you go grab me another one, right? I have to text someone or something, and you're paying attention to how the person interacts with the cashier, right? And you're sort of trying to feel it out. I guarantee you, very, very few, right? Yeah. They're sitting across with their clipboard. They're going, this thing I've heard of before. I've read of this topic. And then they go in the DSM-5 and they're like, okay, Control F, because it's on the computer, and they type in what they've written down on their little note, and then they go back to and that's not good enough. So
I'd even say a lot of therapists. I've known some people who've seen therapists. It took them 3 or 4 attempts to find a therapist that would actually make suggestions on how to improve. A lot of therapists, literally, they get paid to sit there and just listen. And they won't make any suggestions. They won't, well, have you tried not stabbing yourself in the foot? That could alleviate some of your foot pain, right? They won't even do something basic like that. They just go, and how does the foot pain make you feel? Oh, our hour's up. Come back next week. I think that's also a bit of it. It's like a lot of them aren't really even trying to solve the problem. I think they're just there to make a buck.
I honestly, I wouldn't even go that far with them. Like, I'd say that there are some well-intentioned people. It's just the regurgitation of knowledge doesn't necessarily make you good at what you're trying to do. Yeah. And honestly, I would reference the Remote Warriors thing is because like he was in those kind of situations that whatever trauma response, and he is a good effective for these people. Whereas whenever it comes to like just regular everyone has a different kind of trauma. Everyone, like nobody's exactly A, B, C, D, and we all fit in these 3 or 4 boxes, and it's easy to deal with.
Just because you're talking about Remote Warrior, I think, and this is tying it back into what Placebo is saying, a part of what Remote Warrior does is they do provide that Discord channel, or a Discord server that is for one. There's a room that's kind of for everybody, like for the people who have the trauma, and then everybody else, and like for family members can also. He also has a channel that's specifically for the remote warrior people. But it puts them in a community of people who understand, who've been there, who've gone through it, and then kind of, it's a very healthy element that it does provide community. And people can call some, I mean, we've had to kick some people out. Like, they were just so vile and horrible to everybody, and they just, I know for a fact that there's some people that, like, just like, everybody else is making everybody else better. You're destroying everyone and not, it's like, there's a point where it's like, this is unhealthy. We can't help you. But I do think that is a part where Placebo is talking about, is like getting that feedback and seeing how people react to other people, or, there is something valuable to community, to getting feedback from more than just one person listening to you tell your version of things, right? It just helps to have a bunch of different perspectives.
So, and to kind of change things up a little bit as well, like, there's also an onus on the person participating in it, that they actually have to put in work, as long as they're being advised correctly, that, or even if they aren't, if they're actually doing the work, you can see it. But there's so much, like, societal pressure about, like, acceptance. And some people use just the fact that, hey, I'm going to a therapist, I'm not actually doing anything or whatever, but you don't need to know that. I'm seeing a therapist for my problems, so you need to accept that. Like, it's just, people are kind of duplicitous on how they actually treat this process.
Right. I agree.
So they're and not to sit here and say, like, hey, psychologists aren't, doing what there's a lot of factors stacked against them to properly do what they are meant to do. And I think if a lot of people were more honest about the whole situation, that it would be probably, I think, better than 25 or whatever percent it actually is. But there are a lot of things just kind of against the grain that could be a lot better about the whole process. So,
no, I agree. Good conversation, boys. Good conversation. See, we turned that little one sentence into a good, solid, long thought process, as one should. All right, next. And this is kind of going back to something we talked about before, and I think we covered a little bit, but hateful people think everybody else is as hateful as them. It's why they call disagreement hatred, because they themselves hate people that they disagree with, or that disagree with them, I guess is what he said. But I think that goes about a little. I do think there is an element of that, right? Like, if you always sexualize other people, you'll perceive that you're always being sexualized by them. If you always hate someone, you will assume that that's just kind of the natural human thing, is you assume people have the exact same thinking process that you have. The only caveat I would say is, I do think if you've experienced enough people, sometimes you can go, oh, usually people who have this response, but I mean, that could be tainted too, right? Because your experience is how you're filtering it. It may be nobody's ever hated, and you're just always perceived disagreements as hatred, and so you think everybody who has this position hates you, when in reality, that's just how your brain processed it. I don't know. Give me your great psychiatrists that we have. Psychological brilliant geniuses that I have on my show. Please give me more. Anything. No? Okay. Let's just
I got nothing on this one.
Fine.
I tend to agree. Yeah. Because the way that they view the world is often the way they think other people view the world. And of course, we can understand that people view the world differently, but there's some threads that linger, right? And you can't quite get rid of them.
It'd be really interesting to see the percentage of what kind of reactions we're seeing to the whole Charlie Kirk incidents, because that would honestly tell people a lot about themselves. There are
self-aware, yeah.
If they were, and if we even care to look at something like that, I've seen a lot of genuine responses from people that did not agree with him, saying, you know what, hey, this situation is tragic. I don't agree with where he stood as a person, as a political stance, but he was doing things the right way. He was nonviolent. He was going to places that this is a college campus. This is supposed to be where ideas are tested, where ideas are challenged. You're not supposed to sit in a university in a safe zone and be completely isolated from the world.
That is a very
The college-
interesting shift. Because I want to, before you move on, when I was in college, every professor I had, that's what they would say. You're here to have your ideas challenged. This is not like you're here to learn and experience a bunch of different things, and a lot of it will challenge what you already think. And they never pushed, they were never like, and my way is the right way. They were just like, that's what, you're here at college, that's what you should expect.
There's the pivot.
What?
There's
Where's
the pivot. Yours said, or
Oh, yeah.
yours did not push what they believe. So I think right now what you're seeing is a lot of the professors they say that you're here to have your opinions challenged,
And here's
you're here, right? and it's very directional, like
Yeah.
They're not open themselves to having their opinions challenged.
I agree with
which, if they were good professors, right? Yes, you should be able to challenge their opinions, but they should have the like brick wall that you hit and they can punch back, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, that's a fantastic argument you've made. I've thought about it. Here's my retort, right?
Yeah.
That's
and then
what
it's,
they
and
should
then it's
do.
up to you as the student to go, oh, okay, I will either accept that or I can go find another
Or find another
counter. Yeah.
Absolutely. But that part doesn't happen.
Because I do think
right?
University challenged too, right? Like, or changed as well, because there are safe spaces, and you see in the brochures, it's like we're here for you, and the idea of like you're here to grow. This is where you take the next step. You're in high school now. You're going to become an adult. You have to get used to all these big ideas that are coming at you. It's now almost like we're moving grade school further and further and further, where it's just you're protected the entire time, never have to emotionally learn how to regulate, grow, have new ideas. And I do think that is a shift, a definitive shift in almost all universities that has occurred. Not all, there's a few that they're still like, you're here to get challenged, but for a lot of them, that is a major change that I do think has had a impact on society, because so many people are now getting college educated, right? Now it's,
well,
it's so easy
and
to
it's
do.
kind of ironic because the college he was at was one of those where it's like, hey, we agree with what you're trying to do. They didn't say necessarily they agreed with him as a stance, but they were excited to see him there, to bring awareness there, to bring foot traffic into the college, and that's it's just a strange circumstance. Placebo, are you familiar with the name Andrew Breitbart?
Ooh, the last name rings a bell. There's something
Okay.
up there. I don't know
So
what it is, but there's something.
The Breitbart media used to be a thing, and this guy, he died probably, I don't know exactly when, but I think it's in the double digits now. He died that long ago, and there was a very similar reaction to his passing, and it didn't get as much traction as I think Charlie Kirk did, and that's a very interesting thing, because I think Charlie Kirk was a bit more into the public's eye, and especially like new up-and-comers that are in the college circuit that kind of can attach to a younger figure. But Breitbart was very much this line of reasoning. He was I don't know his religious view of things, but he was a very like, here are the facts and I'll show you logically about what these do for you. And he was such a non-violent person, and people still celebrated his death. Like,
I will say
it's
that
just,
they kept his Breitbart media going for a while after he died, and it did start to take a certain tinge. Like, it started to become more and more like biased, and it kind of fell away from his initial vision. And so I do think, like, if you looked it up now, you would see a lot of like, here's what Breitbart, and what they're talking about is the social media company, not the man,
guy.
and not what it was when he was around guiding things.
he passed in 2012. So I was sitting there thinking 10 to 15, but I didn't want to.
But yeah,
like
no, so
you nailed it.
So it's like what you see now coming out of Breitbart.com is not what it was when he was around. And so
honestly, I didn't
think
even know it was still around, because it's so far from what.
Yeah, it lost a
from
lot of
what
its
he
luster
had.
because the people who took over just didn't have the same oomph he had. But yeah, so I mean, I agree. It's a shame because and you see that happen a lot, right? Like somebody who's very brilliant and who does have a particular vision for their organization, they either retire or they die or something, and the people who take over, sometimes even if they were raised by him, they just don't have the same capabilities or the same person, and then it just falls off, becomes something completely hybridized, bastardized, off the charts, and then the sad thing is, it reflects, like, people then reflect back on to the originator what wasn't ever his vision or capabilities anyway, and I think that's a shame. I hope that doesn't happen for Charlie Kirk's stuff, but that's TBA.
Maybe the people who orchestrated this are counting on that.
Yeah.
And I'm not about to sit here and say, hey, there's a conspiracy, but I wouldn't be surprised
Brody?
in the slightest if yeah, right. I gotta fill a role somehow,
Is Brody here? What? No, but
I especially whenever you hear people like Candace start to peddle.
Well, that's yeah.
Over the situation too, so it's real weird.
Yeah.
Like, and I get there being reasonable suspicion about something, but let's wait until if you trust the FBI,
let the facts speak for themselves. I'm always a big let the facts don't.
Exactly.
You know that the sun was in the 3rd trimester of the morning pregnancy of the moon goddess during that time. Well, what does that tell you? You're like, fucking nothing. That's what. Sorry.
I get that that's a completely different thing. Like whether you trust the FBI to put out, everything on the Epstein files or everything on the Kirk assassination. Yeah. Like it is what it is. We get the information that we do. There will be someone out there who tries to find and put things together, but unless it's like a verifiable piece of information, we're not gonna get it. I'd like to see the Discord.
There's a very famous statement that I always think about when it's correlation is not causation, and I think that's the biggest. It can, and oftentimes if there's enough correlation, it does in fact result in causation, but it is not immediately causation. And that's where a lot of conspiracy theories come from. Is like there was a correlating elements. There's like this happened this day, this opposite happened this day. Therefore, they were caused by each other. And that's like no. I mean, it could be right. Like someone hit a baseball and someone got hit by a baseball. That could be that they were both the same thing, but it may not be. Right? Somebody may have thrown a baseball in their yard and hit somebody, and then somebody hit a baseball in a field and it didn't hit anybody. It doesn't mean. It could be that somebody hit the baseball and that baseball then hit somebody, but you need more. You need actual, like, verifiable. And so it's always, I think when you're going through life, it's just a, like, understand correlation does not equal causation. It doesn't, it just because something's similar doesn't mean it's caused by it. That would help at least, nerf a little bit of the overreactions based on internet theory. But all right, I just had one more that I thought was funny, and it's this guy. He's got all these like phones and cameras taped to his head. In case I'm not zooming in. Well, fuck it, yeah, I will. And he says, "Can I get 100 burgers? It's for the homeless." Like I absolutely abhor this element. But here's the question. I think the interesting. Does it matter? Even if somebody's doing a really good thing for a bad reason, should we criticize it? Like, if they're still feeding the homeless, are we like, okay, maybe we can not give this person all this glory and praise for doing it if we can recognize they're doing it for selfish reasons or to make money, but if it's solving a problem, like if somebody builds a hospital in the middle of Africa, still a good thing. A good thing was still accomplished. Does it matter that they were doing it because, their company needed a tax write-off or whatever, right? Like, does it matter? I guess is my question to you guys. Like, should we where do we draw that line where we're like, do you even have an opinion on that?
I have a very strong opinion on that. I'll let Placebo go.
I also have a very strong opinion on
Oh,
it.
good. Maybe my goal in this stream is to have you two fight and break up.
We can bring up logic again. That's fine.
Yeah.
Fine with me.
There are two philosophical positions that are quite well discussed and quite out there on this sort of topic: utilitarianism and deontology. Right? Utilitarianism says the results are what matter. The intention didn't matter at all.
Okay.
If he was doing it to get famous and to put it on TikTok, and he's buying the 100 burgers for, let's say, $700, that TikTok video, if it makes him $1,200, he's like, that's the goal, that's what we want. I don't care about the utilitarianism says, yes, do the thing to get the good result. Deontology says the reason that you've done it matters. I, on this issue, am definitely in the it's tricky because I'm in the utilitarian camp, but I am in the long-term utilitarian camp that says the more people that do this, right, even just the one that kickstarts it, all of a sudden no one's going to donate to the homeless without recording it first, and it's going to snowball down that path.
Yeah.
And in 20 to 50 years, we're going to have a much worse society than we would have had nobody started doing this.
Okay.
So I'm in the results matter camp, but the long-term results, right? You got to play the long game on this one. That's my position.
Okay, so if you're doing that, and I kind of agree with you, by the way, I fairly strongly agree with you, I would say. Do we not have to somehow know what the long-term results will be? Because I know, like, let's say there are, I'm trying to think of Samaritan's Purse, Christian organization. They go all over the place. They do all kinds of relief, blah, blah, blah. I mean, like a massive amount, right? And they don't require, they've been sued and they've been able to prove in court like multiple times that they don't require someone to become a Christian. They don't require them to go to church in order to receive their services. But they do make it available. And when they're, they're like, hey, if you're interested, we are doing this while they're giving out, sometimes. Do you think that is, because then you're having to argue, because I'm sure they would argue, well, people finding God and finding relief through Christ and all that and eternal life, that is a net positive for society. But then someone else who thinks very negatively of the church would say, well, that's a net negative. And so then you have two different parties, depending on how you think that will, work out long term, might have a different view on that particular, like, utilitarian outlook, if that makes sense.
My position on that is that the views of both don't matter, and what makes it right is that the end result would be good. Okay. Right? Like one party could be right and the other could be wrong, or they could both be wrong, or something like that, right? It is the result that matters and not what anyone thinks about the result, right? Which creates, I suppose, an issue with like policy making around this, right? Like that would be hard to do. But just the ethical action itself, I think the results cause the good or bad nature of the action with this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I agree it's difficult. I think it's difficult to, like you said, policy-wise, like real... In some ways, it's a difficult. Someone else is going to have to make that difficult decision. But I agree with you that I think if an argument can genuinely be made, then you can see how it could be good for society, and like then I think you let it go. I guess that's my shtick, because I'm like,
the strength of competing arguments is probably the way we would have to go, but I think it is the result in the real world that would make it good or bad.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, yeah.
I agree. Okay, Evil, we've done it. It is now your turn to give us your strong opinion, and I'm gonna get a bottle of water because I am cottonmouth.
I don't necessarily disagree with anything you said. As far as the direct argument, I am never a proponent of someone else benefiting in any way off of someone else's suffering. And in fact, the first thing that I can think of is like, you remember all the Sarah McLachlan commercials that came on. It's showing, these starving Ethiopians and stuff like that. When you actually look and see what happens to the resources that people donate and give to these communities and how they are stopped and redistributed on the other end of things, you would be very hard pressed to continue to do that kind of charitable work. And I will say that that's not just the case in going like overseas to do it either. I used to work, and I've even run a few local charity things where we would give food or clothing or whatever needs that the homeless had. And this is one of my favorite things about Charlie, is that he actually recognized that the issue was not in the materials or the money required to get these people help, because the things that were actually plaguing them had nothing to do with where they're sleeping, where their next meal comes from. Those things are automatically, not necessarily automatically, but genuinely covered by local communities and the places that they're around. If you follow a lot of people that are panhandling, they make more than the average low-income person a year. The problem is they go and spend that on drugs, on alcohol, on things that do not help them. And whenever you are providing a service that takes care of the needs, and they are getting these things from other people and providing for the desires, the unhealthy habits, it's almost setting an even worse precedence.
Well, that's kind of the issue with government assistance, right? Is that the process of guaranteeing someone's not taking advantage of the system is so easily gamed that there are people who are just something that is intended to help people get back on their feet so they can become another active member of society and it's like, oh, something bad happened, here's a temporary fix to carry you over. It started to become it actually became a crutch, and people then became less active, less willing to better themselves, or just even give the effort to like go back out, get a work, or get jobs, or get better, get school, whatever would make them better. You do see that happen sometimes, right? Like the incentive ends up being the problem. It incentivizes the wrong behavior. Because I'm trying to think.
It's honestly it's a self-perpetuating thing, because hey, look, I'm doing all these things for these homeless people, and guess what? They're not getting better, so we just need to do more and do more and do more, and that just means more in for that person, and it becomes a glorifying the wrong thing. And it's a little bit different when it comes to government assistance, because there are a lot of people that just don't have that on and I'm not even going to go into like percentages, but there are people that don't have these problems that government assistance actually becomes a life-saving force for some of them.
It could be a good. That's
the problem
idea.
Is like when you're saying is whenever they become like completely dependent upon that, and there is no way for them to claw themselves out of it, or they just don't have what it takes to do it. And modern society is kind of leaning a bit more into my case rather than yours, where people just use that as a crutch and use it like a hey, this is a guaranteed free program thing, and take advantage of that. So yeah, or I guess that was your position. I'm putting it in the boat of like they don't want to take care of it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it has a socially impactful, like over time, entire societies and cultures get to the mindset. It builds a mindset that's how you deal with stuff, and it I think that's what I'm saying. It's like, how do you? Right. It's hard because you want the aid to be there for those who truly need it and would make good use of it. But I do think over time it's so easily abused that it can cause and also how how much emphasis do we put on the recipient to have the desire to, change and do what? Like, I know, food stamps now, you have to at least be trying to get work, or you have to be working to get it now. You can't just say I don't have money. And I think that's probably a viable long-term thing. Or do you have to be disabled? You can have like some sort of disability that'll maintain.
Yeah,
but
and I agree with all of that.
Yeah, I think that's a
problem
valid
is
adjustment.
These kind of situations where it's like, hey, it's a person trying to do it for some kind of personal gain, where there's no good situation here. All right,
I see what you're saying.
90+% of the people who are receiving something from this aren't not getting it from somewhere else.
Yes, if somebody just hands you a burger, that's probably not going to change your life. And then, right, like if we're just taking this example, this exact, meme, or I guess that's a meme, whatever. It's like there are some things that, yes, I don't know. Yeah, go ahead, continue. I'm still thinking.
This is why I have very strong opinions about it, because I've been through these processes. Honestly, from a church standpoint, and from just doing it on my own, as I was in high school at the time, so this was just something that we could do. But there's a very real and tangible difference between donate to your local food bank. All right. That's something that helps your community directly, because there are, people that are a little bit hungry, and they access stuff like that rather than, trying to go get someone's, GoFundMe to, get 4% from what it is.
I struggle because I know that there are issues that need big, like Katrina, right? Like they needed organizations that could take in millions of dollars and then process that over into. That's actually Samaritan Purse. I think they do a good job. They obviously pay people. People would get paid. And the thing, I'm going to be a part of a charity, right? Like right now, Remote Warrior will eventually. Yes. That's where it's going to be. Nobody's getting paid now, but we need because for things to work, there's people who have to spend full time doing it. They can't live on dreams and hopes and good feelings. They at least need to get paid something. That's kind of maybe not CEO $1 million a year, but they need to get paid like livable expenses for what they're doing. And so some of the money does have to go to cause that level of so I'm kind of torn on that, because I think you see it all the time where charities will do the other thing. It's like only 2% of the money that comes in actually goes to helping anybody, and the other 98% goes to paying people, paying for parties, and all kinds of like. So there's a balance there. I do think there's a balance where like you can't just be like, oh, not every dime that I give you goes to a poor person or someone who lost their home to a hurricane, but there's got to be some balance where it's like, yes, you're clearly misusing the funds versus like you're making an organization function that needs to be that size in order to function in that capacity.
Well, and even in those cases, a lot of times, and I saw it directly because I'm right down here in Texas. I was right next to the Katrina stuff. We had the influx of people moving out of Louisiana into Texas. Like we saw a lot of this. Yeah. So what we donated directly to the church, and the church sent people who knew how to help these people, who had the tools, who had the resources, who had the resources we gave them, and they were able to effectively do stuff like that. And that's the kind of donation that I would like to encourage. I don't think I've ever said anything to you guys, but I have always taken briskets down to the local fire and police departments. It's not something I've done recently since I've moved, but that's because of situations here. But I've taken at least a dozen in the time that I had my smoker, and I don't think I ever told y'all about that.
Yeah,
like that's something that I've just wanted to do, because like that's I like to encourage them. This was actually during the whole like the whole protest over the
you wanted to show them that there were people who appreciated it. Yes.
Yeah. The only thing that was coming into my mind was like the blue line.
Yeah,
stuff,
blue line.
That wasn't
that's the opposite.
Exact. Yeah. So
but isn't the world where people do that obviously so much better than the world where people do this, with the phone and stuff, right?
Yes.
Like, if you compare the worlds, right? Guy delivers briskets to, civil servants
Well,
versus
Guy who tapes.
some of the briskets were a little so they probably like, hey, is this guy trying to poison us? But hey, I was learning how to make briskets. It was still good meat.
I guarantee you,
I
they're
think
admirable, taste good,
admirable,
and
just
edible.
the same.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
and I wasn't looking for anything from it. It's just like, hey, like I may be a fat guy, but this is gonna go bad before it.
Yeah.
I just meant like I can't eat that. Like some of my briskets I made were like hefty.
No, I agree.
15, 18
I mean, I was just
briskets.
gonna say, we also, like, my family, we pastors for a long time, right? And I always tell this as a story about it. Maybe I was telling it to, I thought I was telling it to you guys, but I may have been telling it to Tanner, because we were talking about that in a business meeting. But like, we had somebody who, so people tithe to a church, and we would always have funds in the church for someone who truly needed help. We would help them out, but they kept kind of needing help over and over again, and we were kind of like, okay, so my parents were like, that's fine, let's look at what you spend and let's see if we can't fix this problem so you don't keep needing.
You were telling me about this.
Yes, and they're like, they needed money for electricity, right? And then we looked, and they just the week before bought like a $500 VCR, and this is back in like the 90s, 80s, right? And my parents were like, well, take the VCR back, and there you go, you have like 2 months worth of electricity, maybe more, paid for. And they're like, oh, I can't, we can't do that. And what you kind of realize, this is kind of what you're talking about. You do see it. There's people who need the help, but then there's people who just, their mentality won't let them be helped. They don't, it's like, it's dumping money into a black hole, right? Like you can pay for their electricity this week, and they do the same thing again next month. And it's like, at some point in time, I do think like teaching people how to, and this has to be like a core societal thing, right? Like how to spend appropriately and how you don't spend what you don't have, and that's the exact opposite of what our society does, right? We're very into, get credit, and in fact, if you don't have credit, your credit rating is horrible, and you can't get a car for a decent deal, and you can't get a house. They won't, it's almost like our whole society is built off the idea of bad financial decisions, and putting people in these situations where it's like, I don't know.
It's a kind of a sad thing because like I remember growing up and going through high school, and I went through an economics class that was run by she was such a strong feminist liberal, and she loved the shit out of me.
I ended the stream. Or not the stream. Okay. I didn't, not the overall stream, but the me showing you guys what was on the screen.
I didn't know if that was me cutting off or
no, that was just me saying we're done, so keep going.
But yeah, that was one of the first things we did in economics. Like we went over budgets to see, like, hey, what do you think it's going to cost you? Mm-hmm. And honestly, the first time I ever made it out into my own apartment, it was like 3 times the number that I wrote down in that economics class, which was, I mean, it was like 10 years later, but still, Jesus, like ridiculous.
I think we had an economics class that did something very similar, and that was the idea. It was like, okay, write down what you think, and then they would go over. I had a really good teacher, and he'd be like, oh, that's going to be more than that. And then he would write out, and you would see that like almost every time it was 2 to 3 times more than what you imagined, because there's just so much real life stuff that So yeah, I agree. I think that is. I wish they would bring that back. I don't know if they still do that, but it was.
I mean, they do, but they try to teach, like, instead of so microeconomics, they try to teach you like, hey, this is macro. This is what's going on with tariffs and with taxes, and this is what's not happening with your tax. Like, it's no longer like personal economics. It's not a way to make you spend smarter about yourself, and that's a bit of a travesty, and we've lost a bit of that kind of like real gritty, like actual helpful home examples. And to kind of touch on what you were saying earlier, like with the pastors like giving to these people and stuff, like that's a very conscious decision that whoever it is that you donate these resources to, you need to make sure that they are that they are capable of spending these things in a wise manner, in a manner that you agree with. That, like, you know, it doesn't mean that you could, however you want to spend it, make sure that they're spending wisely, and they are not just throwing it away, because we are meant to we are called to donate in a certain way, whether you necessarily agree with the biblical version of that or not. Being able to invest in your community, in the community around you, is a powerful presence that you can bring, and you should take pride in that. And whether or not you're on the left or the right, make your community a better place.
Yeah.
Like, donate to what you think will actually improve that. And that's just.
No,
I think we've gotten away from those, like, core economic precepts. So, sorry.
Yeah. I know. Hey, man, listen, we all have our soapbox moment. I can't say it. I pronounce words so good now. But no, I agree. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I appreciated it. Thank you for sharing from the abundance of your heart. I'm going to be a psychiatrist now. Yeah, that's it. We're good. That was 2 hours. We've probably bored. No one's listening at this point, but I still appreciate the 5 of you that stuck around, which 3 of them are on the screen right now. But thank all of you. And I appreciate you. Please like and subscribe. I hope that we solved all of your problems, and your life will be better now, and you'll have nothing wrong with it, because we are brilliant. Anyway, no. Go be blessed. I love you. See you next week. We'll try to do something that's interesting. Who knows? We'll do the same thing as well. It's a crapshoot. Depends on my mood and whether or not I'm sick or not.